You wake up tired, not because you didn't sleep, but because something deeper in you is worn out. You carry a weight no one sees, so they call you lazy, but they don't understand what it takes to just show up. You're not lazy. You're surviving a world that's quietly breaking you. You tell yourself, just get up. But your body doesn't move. The silence feels heavier than you. You reach for your phone, not for connection, but to escape. Because facing the day feels impossible. This world moves fast. It demands energy you no longer have. It rewards noise, motion, performance, but punishes stillness, rest, softness. You weren't made to run like a machine, but this system expects you to keep going, no matter how much it hurts. This isn't laziness, it's soul-level exhaustion. You check your messages, you stare at your screen, your eyes are open, but nothing feels real anymore. You're not lazy, you're burned out, overstimulated, emotionally starved, and you still show up every day. That's not failure, that's strength. You live in a world that rewards noise, but punishes feeling. You notice too much. The tone in someone's voice, the heaviness behind a smile, the tension in the silence. And because you feel everything, you carry too much. People think you're overreacting, but you're just sensitive to what others ignore. Being this aware hurts. And when you try to explain it, they say, you're just tired. Or worse, try harder. So you keep quiet. You say, I'm fine. Even when you're breaking, you've learned to hide it. Because showing pain doesn't get you help, it gets you judged. You rest for a moment, and guilt kicks in. Because somewhere along the way, they taught you that rest is failure. That slowing down means you're lazy. That healing means you're falling behind. But that's a lie. You are not broken because you need rest. You are human. And humans aren't machines. You weren't made for constant output. You were made for rhythm, cycles, peace. But peace doesn't profit, and burnout doesn't trigger alarms. It creeps in slowly, until one day you forget what it feels like to be okay. Burnout doesn't always look like collapse. It's not loud. It's not obvious. Sometimes it looks like waking up and feeling nothing. Doing everything you're supposed to, but feeling disconnected the whole time. You laugh, but you don't feel joy. You smile, but it's hollow. You talk, but your voice sounds distant, even to yourself. That's burnout too. The quiet kind. The kind that makes you disappear a little more each day. You start to lose interest in everything. Things you used to love now feel like chores. Music doesn't move you. Books don't hold your focus. Even rest doesn't feel restful. You sleep, but wake up tired. You eat, but you're still empty. That emptiness isn't laziness. It's emotional depletion. You've given too much of yourself to a world that never gave anything back. You kept pushing, kept showing up, kept saying yes, even when everything inside you was screaming no. And the worst part? No one sees it. Because you're still functioning. You're still smiling in pictures, still showing up to work, still replying, I'm good, in every text. But inside, you're drowning. You want someone to notice, to really see you. But everyone's too busy, performing their own survival. So you tell yourself, just hold on a little longer. But what if you didn't have to? What if this wasn't the life you were meant to survive? What if you were meant to slow down, to breathe again, to feel your own heartbeat and actually listen? Not for productivity, not for performance, but just to be. What if healing isn't about doing more, but about doing less? What if rest is not giving up, but fighting back? You begin again. You unplug for a few hours. You sit in silence. You feel uncomfortable, because silence has become unfamiliar. But in that stillness, you hear something. A voice. A small, tired voice inside you, saying, I miss who I used to be. And for once, you don't ignore it. You begin to listen again, not to the noise outside, but to the whisper within. At first, it's barely audible. A quiet ache. A memory of who you were before the world taught you to hide. It says, I used to dream more. I used to feel more. I used to be alive. And in that stillness, you realize something painful. You haven't felt like yourself in a very long time. You start asking hard questions, not the kind they ask in school or meetings, but the ones that make you pause. When did I stop enjoying my life? Why do I feel more tired after rest? Who am I trying to impress? And why? The answers don't come all at once. They come slowly, in moments of silence, in long walks with no destination, in tears you didn't know you were holding in. Healing doesn't feel like a miracle. It feels like grief. Because to heal, you have to let go of the person you became to survive. You begin noticing things again. The way the light falls through your window, the sound of birds you hadn't heard in months, the feeling of your own breath, warm, rhythmic, alive. And for the first time in a while, you're not trying to escape the moment. You're simply in it. That's when you realize you're not lazy. You were numb. You weren't unmotivated. You were overwhelmed. You weren't broken. You were exhausted from pretending you weren't. The system wants you to bounce back quickly. It wants you to get over it so you can return to being useful. But you are not here to be useful. You are here to be human. And healing is not a straight line. Some days, you'll feel alive again. Other days, you'll want to disappear. That doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're feeling. And feeling is a radical act in a world that profits from your disconnection. You start setting boundaries. You say no to things that used to steal your energy. You stop apologizing for resting. You choose silence over forced conversations. And every time you protect your peace, you feel the pieces of yourself coming back. Not all at once. Not perfectly. But slowly. Like rain returning to a dry field. You begin remembering what made you feel alive. Not productive, not important, but alive. Maybe it's writing. Maybe it's drawing. Maybe it's just sitting on the floor with your coffee and doing absolutely nothing. And that's okay. Doing nothing is still doing something when the world has tried so hard to make you forget how to just be. You stop chasing the next thing, the next goal, the next title, the next validation, because you've realized no finish line can fill the emptiness that comes from abandoning your soul. So instead, you choose presence. You choose breath. You choose quiet moments that don't need to be captured or shared. And in that quiet, you hear something you haven't heard in years. Your own voice. It's shaky at first, then stronger. It says, I don't want to live like this anymore. And also, I don't have to. You don't owe anyone the version of yourself that made them comfortable. You don't have to keep performing strength just so others don't have to feel uncomfortable around your pain. You don't have to carry the expectations that were never yours to begin with. You're allowed to stop. You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to be a soft, tired human in a world that forgot how to slow down.